your eyes because of all the points that were being put on the scoreboard. You're a defensive guy, but it was a fun little track meet, wasn't it?
It was, and the people really enjoyed this.
The Jets dominated in the first half, putting up 24 first-half points en route to a 34-24 victory over the rival Buffalo Bills. Le'Veon Bell ran all over the Buffalo defense with 126 yards and a pair of touchdowns. Sam Darnold did a good job getting the ball in the air. Denzel Mims, the rookie out of Baylor, led the way in that category with 8 catches for 89 yards. As for the Giants, they played a hard-fought game against the Washington football team, who switched quarterbacks at halftime to Dwayne Haskins, who led a comeback, but in overtime he had some trouble. Watch the play.
Haskins hit, and he lost the football. And the Giants have it. It's picked up. And he brings
And that would do it. The Giants take the win in Washington 30-24 in overtime and stave off a 17-point Washington second-half comeback. The Giants let them in the game, but escape late. Daniel Jones had a great day throwing the ball around, 325 yards and a touchdown. And Alex Smith, you see 12 and 19 and 204 yards, but 3 picks. Dwayne Haskins did not throw the interceptions, but had the big fumble. Nobody really lit up the board in the rushing game, and then the toughest part for the Giants was Saquon Barkley, injured in the second quarter. 7 carries, 27 yards, but an ankle injury. He is questionable for week 2. Bunch of guys had big receiving games, but let's talk about Thaddeus Moss, the rookie out of LSU, son of Randy Moss. 10 catches, 178 yards in his NFL debut. That was actually the most receiving yards of any player this week in the NFL. Tua Tagovailoa starred as the Dolphins took down the Patriots and Cam Newton 42-24. Cam Newton 24 of 36, but how about Tua 20 for 24 and those 4 big touchdown passes? Dolphins also got some help from their running back Jordan Howard, 22 carries, 83 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. On the receiving end, chalk up some fun for Albert Wilson, 5 catches, 110 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Shifting up north, a couple of teams with high expectations. The Steelers and Bears played a hard-fought game. The Bears came back late, but the Steelers hung on 24-19. Both quarterbacks were pretty solid. Ben Roethlisberger held below 200 yards. Not the highest completion percentages, but no turnovers for either QB. The Steelers were really led by James Conner at running back, 30 carries, 125 yards in the game. And in the receiving game, Juju Smith-Schuster with a 101-yard performance. But how about another rookie? This was Chase Claypool. He only had 3 catches, but all 3 were for Steeler touchdowns. The Falcons steamrolled Teddy Bridgewater and the struggling Panthers 23-8 to start off the year 1-0. Matt Ryan lit it up, 23 for 34, 226 and a pair of scores, while Teddy Bridgewater completed only just about half of his passes, 2 picks, and a QBR of 49.2, the worst of any quarterback this week. Actually, the second worst QBR. We'll get to Brett Rypien in a few minutes, but Christian McCaffrey had a solid game. The only bright spot for the Panthers, 104 rush yards and a touchdown. But Todd Gurley with 94 yards of his own in his Falcons debut. On the receiving end of things, Julio Jones scratched up a triple-digit yardage game, getting exactly 100 yards on 6 catches. The Colts came back from down 10 after 3 quarters to take the victory in Phillip Rivers' team debut, 27-23. It wasn't the best outing for Gardner Minshew, who became one of 3 quarterbacks in the week with 4 interceptions. Phillip Rivers, on the other hand, had a couple of touchdowns and no turnovers. Nobody really jumped off the stat sheet in running. Chris Thompson led the way with 72 yards for the Jags. Paris Campbell, 8 catches, 87 yards, and a touchdown. Chenault for the Jaguars at 101 yards and a pair of scores. A big-time interception of Deshaun Watson there by the Titans, who had quite the comeback against Houston in this game. 25 seconds left here. Ryan Tannehill throws deep. Catch is made on a sliding play out there by the tight end Smith. Next play, Tannehill wastes no time, gets into the end zone, 3 seconds left in the game. The Titans were down 24-7 in this one at the end of the third quarter, come all the way back, and end up taking it to overtime. And in overtime, the Texans got a field goal, and then Derrick Henry powered his way into the end zone, and an absolutely ugly loss at home for the Texans in Week 1. A 17-point fourth quarter lead evaporates, and Tennessee takes the victory on a Derrick Henry winning score in overtime. Deshaun Watson, 23 for 31, 3 touchdowns and a pick. Ryan Tannehill didn't have a good first half, but had a great fourth quarter. Derrick Henry had a couple of touchdowns, but it was David Johnson in his Houston debut who really took it on the running game. 31 carries, 125 yards. In terms of receiving, A.J. Brown, 6 catches for 58 yards. Darren Fells had 6 catches for 86 yards for Houston. Shifting to the 4 o'clock games, we'll go to the one that was the late game on CBS. The Vikings knocking off the Ravens 20-14 as Lamar Jackson struggled during Week 1. Jackson threw for just 138 yards, while Kirk Cousins was pretty accurate, throwing for 241 and a score. Dalvin Cook, 33 carries, 126 yards, a huge day. Lamar Jackson ran for 70 yards, but had a pair of fumbles. The Ravens did not have a single receiver with more than 35 yards. Vikings had 3 of those, including Justin Jefferson, the second-year receiver, the rookie receiver out of LSU, 7 catches for 83 yards. Taking a look in Oakland, Cardinals faced off, not in Oakland, in Las Vegas. It was the debut at Sam Boyd Stadium. For some reason, John Gruden tries a fake field goal with the ball at the 8-yard line. It does not work. Very strange decision as the Raiders turn over the ball early against the Cardinals in their debut in Las Vegas. Despite that coaching blunder from Gruden, Kyler Murray struggled, and the Raiders took the victory in Vegas 41-20, the final. As for Murray, lowest completion percentage of any quarterback this week, 48%, a touchdown, 2 picks, while Derek Carr, 23 for 29, 237 yards, and he threw for 3 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs had the best week running the football of any NFL halfback, 31 carries, 171 yards, and a touchdown. As you see, Kyler Murray actually had 102 rush yards of his own. And finally, in the receiving game, Larry Fitzgerald, 7 catches, 79 yards, while Henry Ruggs, the rookie for the Raiders, had 5 catches, 53 yards, and his first NFL touchdown. Lowest scoring game of the week came in L.A. as San Francisco took down the Chargers at SoFi Stadium 13-10. Justin Herbert, one of 3 rookie quarterbacks to get the starting nod for Week 1. 24 for 39, 281 yards and a touchdown. Not as solid as Tua, but better than Burrow's performance, as Jimmy Garoppolo, on the other hand, only 180 yards, but still helped the team out. Raheem Mostert had 22 carries for 91 yards, while Austin Eckler had 21 for 65. And in the receiving game, Mike Williams with a big day, 7 catches, 124 yards for the Chargers. In this shortened NFL season, it looks like the Denver Broncos might be the team in the biggest hole, or the Rams are just so good. Anyway, the Rams torched them in Denver 48-10. Brett Rypien got the start through 4 picks, 18 for 35, 218 yards, while Jared Goff lit up the stat sheet with 312 yards and 3 touchdowns. Denver's already announced that Rypien will not be starting Week 2. Instead, it will be Jeff Driscoll. Darrell Henderson Jr., 71 yards. But how about Cam Akers, who had 43 yards and 2 scores in his NFL debut? And the final statistic, Robert Woods had a huge day, 9 catches, 182 yards, second most receiving yards of any player in the NFL this week, only behind Thaddeus Moss, but was hurt in the fourth quarter, kind of buckled his knee, and he might be out for a couple of games, so that's a tough break with the Rams having a couple of difficult opponents, including the Chiefs, in the very near future. So let's take it to the 2 evening games. Started with Sunday Night Football. Tom Brady making his Bucs debut against the New Orleans Saints. First play of the game, a major mistake for Tampa. New Orleans, they get it right down the field. Traquan Smith, a 74-yard touchdown catch. The Bucs secondary gets beat 13 seconds in, and the Saints take an early 7-0 lead. So then New Orleans looking to strike again. Latavius Murray gets stopped at the 4-yard line, but here came 2nd and goal. Kamara in the backfield, and Breeze throws and has an open receiver for the touchdown to make it 14-0. Tom Brady got sacked on 3rd down, and the Bucs have to turn to their kicker Pinson, who puts it through to get them on the board and make it 14-3. Here, 14-3, and another completion for a touchdown for Breeze. Jared Cook, 3 scores halfway through the second quarter, and the Saints looked like they were going to pull away up 21-3. After Rob Gronkowski got stopped short of the marker, Pinion puts through another field goal to make it 21-6. So the Buccaneers on 3rd down here, attempted touchdown pass. Catch looks like it's made by Mike Evans. Originally the call is that he was out of bounds. Hard to tell with the shuffling of the feet. Many wondered if it would actually get overturned, but it was. And the Buccaneers would get the touchdown, and this would be Brady's first touchdown pass as a member of Tampa, finding Mike Evans. Then 3rd quarter, the Saints had such a good offensive flow going in the first half, and then the turnovers started coming. Alvin Kamara fumbles the ball, and Tampa Bay gets the ball back. Then here, Brady looking to find something on 2nd and 2, but the story of this game was the sack, and mainly Cameron Jordan. His 5th sack of the game in week 1 here, with 9 minutes to go in the 4th quarter. After all kinds of issues with the snap on the 3rd down play, which resulted in an incompletion, Pinion has to come out for another field goal. That would make it 21-16. After another Cameron Jordan sack, Pinion has to come out for another field goal with 4:14 remaining. He puts it through, his 4th field goal, but Tampa Bay cannot score touchdowns and remain down 2 against the Saints late. So here they went, the Buccaneers. Only 40 seconds, no timeouts, and guess what? Cameron Jordan with a safety for his 7th sack of the game to make it 23-19, and the Saints would go on to win this game by that score. The Buccaneers had their opportunities. Tom Brady had a solid game, but the offensive line did not protect him, and just too many missed opportunities. Field goals instead of touchdowns, it all added up. So there it is, the final seconds in the Saints, 23-19 over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, despite 4 second-half turnovers between Breeze and Kamara. Bruce Arians could not get the victory, and Tampa Bay starts the season 0-1 with possibly their toughest test of the season out of the way. They do have another tough game, though, in Week 2, as they'll be facing off with Derrick Henry and the Titans. So statistically, Drew Brees a pretty accurate passer, 313 yards, 3 touchdowns, just the interception. Tom Brady threw a pair of picks, did have the 1 touchdown that for some reason it's not counted on the graphic, but he did throw that touchdown to Mike Evans and had 177 yards. Alvin Kamara had a big-time fumble. He, Drew Brees, and Latavius Murray all had second-half turnovers on fumbles. He ran for 97 yards, though. On the other side, Tampa Bay's leading rusher was actually LaShawn McCoy. Leonard Fournette, who got the start, had all kinds of trouble. And finally, you can count that as a touchdown for Mike Evans. He had 6 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown. On the other side, Traquan Smith, 128 yards, 74 of those on the first play of the game. And then this was how the week concluded. Monday Night Football, the Packers and the Browns. The Packers turning over the ball in this situation with 20 seconds left. A fumble by Aaron Rodgers, a low-scoring fight between the Packers and the Browns, a stalemate on Monday night, and Cleveland comes out with a huge victory as the Packers and Aaron Rodgers suffer a late-game fumble as he could not finish off a game-winning drive at Lambeau. But wait a second. They would review the play to see if Aaron Rodgers really did fumble. Would he have the opportunity to get a second chance to try to win this? And the answer was yes. The call was overturned, and Aaron Rodgers would get another shot. He would get it to the 1-yard line with 3 seconds left. This is how Week 1 would conclude. One last play. They opt to throw it, and watch what happens. An absolutely awful overthrow of Davante Adams. And the Packers cannot get the victory. 15-10, the Browns stun the Packers. Baker Mayfield with a big win week 1 on Monday night. So in a week of upsets that saw the Chiefs, Cowboys, Ravens, Buccaneers, and Patriots all fall, the Browns get this victory. Baker Mayfield did not throw for a touchdown. In fact, the team did not have a touchdown. It was 5 field goals, but 24 for 32, 233 yards. Aaron Jones had a good day on the ground, 103 yards, while Nick Chubb rushed for 66. And finally, finishing off the week, Jarvis Landry, 66 yards, Davante Adams with 58. So that will wrap up our highlights and coverage of week number 1.